The first polls are closing in minutes in Michigan, and Donald Trump is, of course, set to win the GOP primary bigly. And although President Biden will also win his primary, he's facing strong headwinds from every direction and seems to have a real commitment issue.
I did vote uncommitted today.
I'm planning on voting uncommitted.
We should send a message to our Democrats that we're just not happy with what's going on, not just with here, but abroad as well.
Joining me now, Chris Bedford, senior contributor at The Federalist, and Victor Davis Hanson, senior fellow at the Hoover Institution. Victor, we're seeing a lot of division on the left. Obviously, there's division on the right as well. But just how big of a problem is this going to be for the Biden campaign as reality begins to set in as they get closer to the general?
Yeah, I think we're getting to a point of no return, Laura, with the corruption issue, the cognitive issue, and the unpopularity and disaster of his agenda, and now this defection within the Democratic Party. It's more of a question of not if they're going to try to remove him, but when and how, and I don't think they have the answers to either one. It's really the most remarkable meltdown of a presidency we've seen in our modern era, and it's juxtaposed with probably the greatest political recovery of Donald Trump since Richard Nixon in 1962. And Donald Trump, the more they try to demonize and incarcerate him or use lawfare against him, the more popular he becomes. So it's bizarre how things have just flipped since 2021. It's remarkable, and I think they're in a dilemma. And they know what they have to do, but they don't know how to do it and when to do it.
Well, MSNBC is worried because Biden's problem of the uncommitted voters may portend a much larger problem in the general watch.
This is a problem all across the country, and I hope that the president and Blinken can get this thing calmed down, because if it don't get calmed down before the Democratic convention, it's going to be a very ugly time in Chicago. I promise you that. They're going to have to tell Bibi Netanyahu, hey, dude, we're not going to lose our election because you're scared to go to jail.
Chris, Biden was hinting at a ceasefire coming. Will that stem the exit polls that we're seeing tonight?
I think it's probably going to take more than that. I mean, some of those actions like that might bring back some of the white liberal voters we've seen getting interviewed, some of the younger woke folks who just, for whatever reason, their education decided to side with Hamas on this. At the end of the day, when they're faced with a Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, they might come around. But in a state like Michigan, where Donald Trump had made historic inroads with a lot of working-class white voters, the Democratic Party's left behind and left on the table, they need a lot of those Muslim voters who aren't as fickle as some of the young college students, et cetera, who may end up backing Biden in the end. Those voters you've seen interview after interview with, I think he might be losing that coalition. They've got a different foreign policy idea than what the White House currently has, and it's going to take a lot more than just a call for a ceasefire to bring them back.
Victor, a new Emerson College poll has Trump trouncing Biden in key swing states. Check this out. He's up 10 points in Nevada, 9 in North Carolina and Georgia, 5 in Pennsylvania. He's winning Wisconsin and Michigan as well. Now, Victor, those are strong numbers, no doubt. But I've talked to top Republicans who are remaining very worried about mail-in ballots and believe that Republicans may still, after all these years, still not have a strategy to get their own mail-in ballot initiative going in states where they don't control the legislature.
I'm very worried, too. I think if you look at every demographic, Trump is doing much better than he did in 2016 and 2020, especially he's up to maybe 18% of blacks and 42 or 3% of Latinos. But if you have these swing states that have gone from 35% mail-in balloting to 70%, and the rejection rate of invalid ballots has fallen from 4 to 5% traditionally down to 0.2 or 0.3 when they're flooded with them, then you've got a real problem that I think that they're going to have to win by 4 or 5 points in these swing states to cancel out this advantage they have in mail-in balloting. And that's, I don't want to be too conspiratorial, Laura, but when you see 7 million people flood the border and they're open, it's not a disaster. It's not laxity. It was a choice. It's deliberate. I think it's coinciding with the availability of mail-in ballots.
Well, they knew that this was coming. So if they don't have the lawyers in place, if they don't have the strategy in place, Republicans have no one to blame but themselves. Chris and Victor, thank you. That's it for us tonight. Remember, it's America now and forever. Follow me on social. That's Instagram and X. And Jesse is next.
Trace Gallagher, it's 11 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 o'clock here in Los Angeles. And this is America's Late News, Fox News at Night. And breaking tonight, it's not exactly neck and neck in Michigan. Looks like former President Trump and President Biden are both dominating their respective contests. And it appears a rematch between the two is very likely. But there are wild cards tonight. President Biden facing a fairly significant uncommitted vote in battleground Michigan, and Nikki Haley with another big decision. Bret Baier is live with more on the significance of these results. Bret, I guess to the Republicans first, it looks like the former president is doing a pretty good job of dominating his race.
Yeah, Trace, good evening. It is a shellacking in the Republican primary in Michigan. Right now, tonight, 16 delegates up for grabs, another 39 in the Republican conference convention, the district convention this weekend. 55 in all. If you look at this, here you see the breakdown, about 192,000 votes separating. But if you look a little closer into some of these counties, here's Macomb County. This is kind of the working class. This is the home to traditional Reagan Democrats. It is now Trump country. If you look at some of these other counties, Oakland County, again, a big spread. If you go over to, let's see, here we go, Washtenaw County. This is home to University of Michigan. If there was going to be a county in which Nikki Haley was going to succeed, it was going to be in this, one of the biggest Democrat strongholds. And even there, there's a spread. Now, you go further north, and he's picking up huge numbers here in Huron County. I mean, 72% to 22%. This will end up being a massive spread by the time you get to all of the votes coming in. And if you drew a line right here, about 15% of the state is above that line. This is all big Trump country, and it is a signal for the general election as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that, Bret, 40 points is a big number. Now to the Democrat side here, there's this uncommitted vote that seems like it's fairly significant. Your thoughts?
It is. It's significant. I mean, right now at 14%, this uncommitted vote is led by Rashida Tlaib and others who are protesting the administration policy on Israel and the war with Hamas in Gaza. Again, we go back to some of these counties just very quickly. You see 13% there, Livingston County 11%, but then we go again to the University of Michigan and you're at 21%. Interestingly enough, Ann Arbor, the specific town, is up to about 32% for uncommitted. It's not a great signal. It is a warning signal for Democrats. And as you get to the general election, they're going to look at the vulnerability there in Michigan, as well as the union vote that has trended towards Democrats are now saying is that it could be the 12th. It could be the 19th, but they expect to lock up the needed 1,215 delegates for the former president to officially, mathematically, clinch the nomination.
And I don't think anybody doubts that. Bret Baier, the chief political anchor. Bret, thank you.